Welcome to the Artist Academy podcast, a place where we focus on the business side of art to help you attract more customers, increase profits, and ultimately live a life of creativity and financial freedom. I'm your host, Andrea Earhart, and I am recovering from a little bit of a sinus cold, so my voice is a little bit off for you avid listeners, but it's way better than it's been for the last week. So we are going to continue on the podcast path because we are entering the end of May Mural Month. I hope you're not as sad as I am. Don't worry, we're still going to have muralists scattered throughout the rest of the year, but we've been doing murals specifically for the month of May because murals are the most profitable part of my art business and the way I'm able to make six figures while painting maybe 3/4 of the year. I love to take time away to travel, relax, work on side projects like the book I just wrote called Mural Money, all the things, and getting paid the big bucks through painting murals is what allows, all these other things to happen. And so this month I have interviewed all of the different muralists exclusively to talk about how they built their art businesses and dissecting their strategies to give you knowledge to do the same. So if you haven't listened to all of those, go back and take a listen. And we're going to end Mural Month with a very different sort of kind of episode. So I asked Jordan Giha to be on the podcast to talk about his project Wall Space. Because doesn't it seem like there are a small number of top artists getting a ton of high profile work while other equally talented artists are just left in the dark, mostly due to the lack of exposure? So Jordan hopes to bridge the gap between muralists and the customers who want to hire us by putting together a platform that helps connect the two. His goal is to help those artists who don't have a large following or a giant resumes to work, just to get their jumpstart and their art careers. And if that sounds like a good idea to you, as it does to me, then let me know what you think of this week's episode with Jordan Giha, all about his new project, Wall Space. Hey guys, I have Jordan here and we're going to talk about his project Wall Space. I thought this was a really cool, link between artists and muralists, and he is linking walls with artists and muralists. So I figured this goes right in hand. Jordan, could you explain a little bit about who you are and how you got started into this project?
Sure. Thank you for having me, Andrea. I appreciate it. So I started Wall Space, launched it early 2021. And I was always in real estate development, asset management in Manhattan. And I've always been a creative myself, but I felt like there was a lot of value add that could have been done to these real estate properties. And artists are always looking for walls, always looking for opportunities to, increase their exposure. And I figured, why not build out a marketplace where real estate developers can post projects, artists can reach out to these owners for the projects, and that way we can hopefully put together, a new creative placemaking piece in a whole different city or state.
Okay, great. So the platform is so the artists will reach out to the landowners or the building owners?
Yeah, so the owners themselves would actually post their wall on the site, and that way the artists can, submit proposals to them. The good thing about it is that artists get 100% of the proposals. We bill a percentage commission based off of that artist proposal to the real estate developer to facilitate the entire project for them. So currently the transaction is only one direction at this moment, which is artists proposing on walls, only because we really wanted to, there's a huge gap in the market between the super high profile artists, right? And there's a lot of super talented people, in this gap that either don't have the necessary resources to get these big projects, whether it's like SEO related on their website or just don't have a huge following yet on any social media platforms. We're hoping that this would be a good way to, develop those artists.
Okay.
And a following.
Like what cities are you in? What cities did you start out in? Where are you at right now? And what's the goal?
We essentially are completely all over the US. We have artists in every state, even Hawaii. And in terms of projects, we've had about in total maybe about 40 projects on our site all over the US.
Very cool. Yeah. So when is the project coming to Springfield, Missouri, where I live?
I have to double check. Hopefully very soon. I'm looking for I reach out to developers all day long. I speak to, these real estate owners, developers. So I'll definitely look into some stuff in Missouri for you for sure.
Okay, cool. So this app just really just immediately reminds me, sort of, but not at all, like the app Thumbtack.
Yeah.
You know that
Uh-huh.
one?
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
that's more of like and I feel like that one, from what I hear for artists, a lot of artists started out on that one and said that it used to be really good, but now you have to like pay per thing. Like artists have to pay per thing, and it's just tough to land something on Thumbtack. Like when you do, it's great, but also on Thumbtack, it's mostly what I've noticed is the people who are posting their projects are reaching out to artists. So like I get like a notification that I have a direct lead, and so I reach out to them, or they reach out to me sort of, and then I respond back and then see, and then it kind of works like that. Why did you choose to have the artists be the sole ones of reaching out? And so as an artist, do I have to just go on there and just kind of search, or is there a notification platform to where like if there's something in my area, it'll notify me? Lots of questions in one.
No, no, that's fine. Also, no notification yet, like no feature like that set up yet, but I will have something like that, built out. Currently, it just comes out like a weekly newsletter. So why artist facing, right? In my opinion, I would say based off of some feedback as well, real estate developers don't necessarily really know what they want, especially when it comes to art. So with that being said, I figured we should give a little bit more power and control to the artist. One, so they can have a little bit more. One, they set the price, right? They get to see all of the components of the wall to offer the best and most competitive price. But the other hand is that the developers, that once they see one colorful pop art thing, they want to just work with that artist. And there's so many talented people who can not necessarily do the exact same thing, but have that relative art style. So ideally, it's just, I feel like for now, it's a great way to really just give a lot of power to the artist and hopefully increase their market value, their value as an artist.
Yeah, this does seem like something that's really good for an artist who is just starting out, who has the skill but doesn't have the outreach quite yet.
Yeah.
And I think those
Yeah.
two things. So, okay, say I'm a new artist and I sign up for your program. How do I first sign up?
So you would just head up to wallspace.com/sign up. It's a 4-step form. 2 of the steps are just surveys. What do you typically charge for a project in terms of like split, right? Do you do like a 10%, 20% design fee, and then 45 after that? We put that into the survey, one, just because we want to get a better understanding of what an artist expects, when they want to get paid for a design project. And I think I answered that question. But just to touch on that design part real quick, I just want to say that once you sign up, you can go and check out any walls that you want, submit a proposal, right? But there's going to be a little upload form in the proposal calculator. And that's essentially just for reference. So, in the event you do nothing but landscapes, but the owner is like, hey, I want something very floral here, you can upload a floral image that you've had already done. A few artists have mentioned, I want to get paid for my design. Absolutely. We want to make sure you get paid for your design. And it's only just for a reference. You can add a note there if you would like. And then if a developer wants to move forward with you, they can absolutely request a design. You get paid your design fee. And then you can facilitate the project. We'll work with you to facilitate the project after that.
Okay, great. Yeah, that was my first thing that went on my concern. I was like, okay, wait, so a bunch of artists are getting on here and doing a bunch of proposals and a bunch of work, and then to maybe get the job, but you figured that out already. Okay. So say I'm a new artist, or any artists that are listening, and they sign up at your wallspace.com/
sign up.
Sign up. Okay,
Yep.
easy. We'll include the link here. And then you get a newsletter every week. Is it every or is it anytime you get in? Okay, so like maybe every Monday?
Every Monday, Tuesday, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And so I see something that's semi close to my area, maybe like Kansas City, and I'm like, oh, I want to submit for that. So I'm basically just submitting similar work that I have done and just kind of filling out sort of a resume type thing. And I think or is that right?
No. Actually, when you sign up, you're building a landing page, like an artist landing page. 30% of the artists who registered never had a website. So what we built was a landing page where the artist can put their bio, art styles, and a portfolio of their work on the page. So essentially we built, a one pager for you. And then that way, when the owner sees your proposal, they get a link to your page. And that way they can see all the work that you've done.
Okay, perfect. So when I submit a proposal, do I just send them a link to my page, or do I upload?
No, it goes automatically. All you're really filling out is when you're available, if a lift is needed, any of the three inputs, which is your hotel, accommodations, travel, like budget for those two items, and then your materials budget. So you put all that in there, it calculates it on the bottom. What you see there is 100% what you would receive. And we've sent that, it gets emailed to the owner automatically.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So there's really no like finding new photos every time kind
No,
of a
no, no.
thing.
You could just upload, like if you just have nothing but landscapes on your site, but that's what you normally do, but you're a graffiti writer, you can upload something completely different in that reference, image section. That was just to kind of help anyone out in case they're like, hey, I can do this. I'm very flexible. I have a different, various different art styles.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I think that part is a key component too, because I work with a lot of new muralists, and a lot of muralists are, especially in the beginning, they're barely calling themselves a muralist, and they're like, they want to paint large scale, but they're like, I don't have anything to show them. I think this is a really good just example of being like, okay, maybe do a couple things, for your friends and family, or do something in your home, or just get those little small projects just to show people that you can do it. Cause I think that goes pretty far with
Absolutely.
customers, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. One of the biggest things that we realized was that many, many artists, especially, I would hate to call them newbies, but any new or upcoming artists, they may be intimidated by other artists, right? So, we're really trying to empower you guys as an artist and make you very comfortable and hopefully provide you, we're still growing, but hopefully provide you with enough opportunities, paid opportunities, that gets you in a much more confident state and, that pushes you to the other side of the world.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, this is a great opportunity for mostly new artists, I feel like, but it could be good for experienced artists too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We have a lot of artists, a lot of creatives with a huge following, but ideally it's for anyone. There's so many artists out there who are not really labeled as high profile, right? Like they're extremely talented. And something I noticed, like I said, 30% of the people who registered a year and a half ago didn't have a website. They just had their Instagram profile, but super talented. Like, how does an owner find you on anywhere, right? Like they don't know what to search for in Google. They don't know how to really find you on Instagram. If you type in like pop art or anything like that, it's just the explore page, which shows probably the most liked photos. And there's just a huge gap in that market. And we're really hoping that this provides a lot of exposure to all those artists who never really, honestly, aren't technically savvy enough to know how to spend their time wisely using SEO, which is a huge component in being found on Google.
So true. I have a business question on how you're putting this together. How are
Mhm.
you finding these buildings and walls and business owners who want things painted?
A lot of it is cold email outreach. So I'm probably doing about 12 pitches a week. Maybe like 40% of the time I'm educating developers just on the effect, just the effects of street art. They took the time to meet. So I have, no problem to really educate them on that. And the other half, other 60% is our developers who were interested in this, didn't really know how to find an artist, probably had a bad experience in the past. It's a very blurry transaction. So we're really trying to provide a lot of transparency on both the artist side and the developer side to make this a very seamless transaction so that it just becomes increasingly popular.
You are so right. A lot of it is just education, because when I started painting murals here in small town Springfield, Missouri, people did not get it. People are like, you want to do graffiti on my wall? I'm like, no, it's a
Yeah.
mural. It'll
Yeah.
attract people. They're like, you want to, what? No, I don't like. And so I can only imagine the conversations you're having every time. Like, just trust me, you're going to love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I'm having conversations with some of the biggest real estate development companies. So those guys probably have about 80 to 100 assets throughout the US. Some of them have only 20. Some of them are just, either way, the point is we're really trying to reach out to these developers now so that one, they can allocate these funds in their next project during the pre-construction process, which will give enough funds and support the artists and just honestly better the community.
This is such a long game project, and I'm so
It
into it.
is. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. It's tough. I can't lie.
I bet. Like, I bet. When did you start this? Like, when did it first pop into your head as an idea? And when did you first start talking to artists and developers?
So 3 years ago, I was working at another real estate company. I was honestly just a little bit tired of the cyclical process of real estate, where it's like it's always great in the spring and summer, and in the winter and fall, it's just like kind of like down, and I just really wanted to push into more of my creativity and, build something that I'm just a builder. I love putting things together like that. So for me, I was just like, it was no brainer why I wanted to do it. I think it was just more taking that plunge to become a startup founder, and that's probably the hardest part, not knowing what's going to happen next. So honestly, there's a lot of peaks, a lot of valleys, more valleys than peaks, but the peaks are the real things that kind of just keep me pushing. So, and honestly, the support of the artist, that's ultimately important.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, congrats to you for going at it for 3 years. It's very tough to go at something and just keep getting people saying no to you for so long.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say like for 3 years I've been doing it. It was probably like a year of just kind of like planning, toying with the idea. It wasn't up until last March or January 1st, so a year and a half ago, was where I really took the plunge, and I just, started doing it full time. But yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny. So we have a muralist here, a very successful muralist, Lacey Crime. She's over on the East Coast. And she said, that's funny. Before I started doing murals part-time, I was part of a real estate team, highly driven and motivated people, but it just wasn't her field. She's more of an artist, and she's kicking butt. I think she just made like $50,000 in the first quarter of the first year with murals.
Awesome.
We just did her podcast episode, but yeah, it's just funny how like kind of same type of people, same minds. But I'm so glad that you've transitioned into this, because this is something I hadn't even thought of. Mostly, honestly, probably because it's so hard, because I have reached out to many buildings around town. It's tough to find the owners. And then it's just tough to talk them into it. And you just get burnt out after a while. That's what happened to me. And I was like, I just want to paint. So props to you for doing this and having those conversations over and over.
I appreciate it. It was, that's probably the toughest part, I know, for myself, especially in the beginning. But I know as an artist, like, you just want to paint, you just want to, be creative. You don't want to spend time doing all this super extensive admin work that honestly, it's like a lot of door knocking, that type of stuff. So for me, building out a brand that people can naturally trust. I mean, think about it. Airbnb was just started with 12 customers, and it was, how odd was it to go into someone's apartment, like their home, and live in their bedroom for the weekend, right? Like, very, very odd concept, but they blew up, and it just took a lot of marketing. So we're preparing for our fundraise, and we're going to start, hopefully have our seed investment by September. That way we can like really take this, and skyrocket with all the marketing that we have planned, and hopefully get these developers to see that this is a very comfortable, easy, clear transaction that they'll want to put on all their properties.
Yes, I love it. And I could see a pretty clear like cross promotion between the two of us, because I
Absolutely.
have a lot of artists and muralists that follow me who want jobs. And I'm sure you have a lot of artists and muralists that follow you who maybe need a little bit more training. And I have the perfect videos. I have all the stuff to help them get started with supplies and whatnot, just to teach them the basics. So I feel like we could really bounce off of each other and help the artists, really specifically the muralist world.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a whole community platform. We have a Discord. Those are things that I just started them more recently, but I'm really starting to put a lot more time into them. So that's something I would feel would be super helpful, especially for those artists that want tips or tricks and, want to learn how to do a few things. And even in a lot of other shows or any other interviews that I've had, I try to drop a few gems on just how to get your own projects, locally, and how to pique interest of certain people. So happy to help and happy to work with you to develop a better community for this.
Perfect. Yeah, let's put your Discord link in the notes as well, and I want to join it as well. I just started with like NFTs and the whole crypto thing. Discord's the one thing where I'm like slowly inching in, but you're on it, so I'll hop in there.
Yeah, I usually use it to just chat with anyone who's had any errors on the site. Just say like, ping me on Discord. That's where I'll drop any updates, any walls, change logs, company updates, whatever. Anything that I find interesting, I usually put in there. So yeah, happy to help.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, that pretty much wraps up all my questions that I had. Thank you so much for doing this and coming on. And I can't wait to promote you to all of the artists here in the Artist Academy and on the podcast. And let's watch your project grow. I'm excited to see where it'll be in like a year or two, because it's still very much startup phase. But I think if enough people believe in it, it could really get up there.
Yeah. I totally agree. Thank you for having me.
And that's a wrap. And if you're listening to this project and thinking, fine, I'll give murals a shot, don't worry. I've made an extra special training video just for you to completely lay out the benefits and strategies to getting your own mural business up and running. Jordan's website, for instance, is a very good start. But also, if you want to check out my special training, you can go to artistacademy.co/muralmaster. The link is in the description, as well as Jordan's link to sign up for his artist website and all of that. But if you want to know basically the ins and outs of and all the benefits and all of the how to get started with murals and all of the stuff before you apply or while you're applying for Jordan's website, you can go to artistacademy.co/muralmaster and I'll just walk you through all the benefits of starting a mural career. Plus I have trainings for you to show you exactly how to paint a mural, because I know that it looks really, really intimidating, but I want to help also bridge the gap between artists and getting started painting large scale. Because I remember the first time I went to paint a mural and I was like, so where do I start? Like, do I paint what paint do I where do I? And I was just like deer in headlights, right? And so I want to help those artists who maybe have a deer in headlights look of just helping you get started with painting murals. Because if you can just buckle down and learn the hard thing and be scared and take the risk and do the hard thing with learning how to paint large scale, it can so pay off. And I think using things like Jordan's website, WXLLSPACE, signing up, seeing what's happening. And I just want to also, say that his website, this is very much like a Kickstarter, jumpstart, like very much an introductory thing that's just getting started. Just like Thumbtack used to be back in the day, very artist friendly, that's how this is starting. It's a very artist friendly. And even though there might not be a ton of opportunities on there right now, I think there's going to be. And it's all about a long game, right? Learning how to paint, getting the customers, signing up for things like this, listening to podcasts to help motivate yourself. Like it all works together. And then one day you wake up and you have a 6-figure muralist career and you're like, well, I'm really glad I did all that stuff, like signing up on the website and, watching the training videos and doing all that. It all adds up in the long game. Like sometimes the long game is a year from now. Sometimes it's 5 years. Sometimes it's 10. But we can help you jumpstart that. And so it's not that far away. But it does take a lot of this, I want to quote, free work in the beginning, signing up for things, learning the things and doing all of that. And it will pay off. Trust me. Trust me. I'm in a very good position right now. And now that's really the reason I want to give back and help you be in this position, because financial freedom through art is just one of the best gifts you could ever give yourself in your entire life. So many people go to a desk job and they don't love, but they make enough and, they provide for their family. But just having a job that you love to do and creative and it just makes your whole life better. So check out all the things, all the stuff that we have on the podcast. Whatever resonates with you, go do that. Take the risk, because I've noticed a lot of people, they'll listen to the stuff and be like, that's a good idea. And then they won't act. And I'll be like, why? They'll get in their head or whatever. Just take one little step every day, just a little thing. Maybe it's an outreach. Maybe it's signing up for Jordan's website. Maybe it's watching a training video in the Academy. Maybe it's watching something free on YouTube. Whatever. Do something little every single day. And after a year, it'll add up and you'll be in a much better position. Okay, I'm done blabbering. I'll see you next month for a solo episode. We haven't had one of those in a while, but I'm going to be talking about emotional versus logical business decisions in the next episode, because that's just one thing that I think has really helped me in my art business. But I will see you next week. Thanks so much for listening. Bye-bye.